This episode of According to Mike and Tony is brought to you by TDM Studios, bringing high-quality audio to production in podcast and music.
What's going on, everybody? This is Bruce Leroy, and you're listening to According to Mike and Tony, the only podcast where we shoot the shit and keep it real.
What's going down, everybody? Tony Dollar here. Episode number 9.
Episode 9, Mike Pierce here.
Well into the new year. Floating along. Good shit happening. We got the website up now. MikeandTonyShow.com.
Surprisingly, that name was not taken.
Yeah, you would have thought, right?
I would have thought. And then Tony, when I was doing the setup, Tony goes, "Hey, is Mike and Tony available?" And I responded pretty good. I was like, "Yeah, dude, totally, for $3,000."
Isn't that weird how people troll sites like that and they just buy
Do it
up
on
like
purpose.
a shit ton of URLs and then they're like, anytime anybody needs one, there it's already there. Yeah,
Yep.
3,000 for a fucking website.
MikeandTony.com. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we got it going. Rolling into the new year. Good stuff happening today. We have a very special guest, an MMA fighter, a MMA coach, a wrestling coach, Mr. Andrew Wolfe. Welcome to the show, dude.
Hey, happy to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad to have you, man. Thanks for coming on and doing this. We appreciate it. It's Friday night, and you're taking your time to chill with us.
Chill with us, and of course, our regular, Mr. Bruce Leroy.
Yeah. I said, who's the master? Sure enough.
We should have a contest, see who can figure out what that's from.
I'm pretty sure people are pretty hip to that, clever to
You
that.
think so?
Do you know what it's from?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to
Do you know
say
what
it.
it's from?
Well, yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
all
okay.
right,
Well,
all right.
maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe
Oh,
everybody
man.
knows it. I didn't
All right.
realize.
Good.
Didn't realize.
I'm glad at least you guys know what that is. What is it from?
Oh, for real? Okay.
Did you know gullible is not in the dictionary?
Really? If there was a person you could fool with that, it would be me.
I know.
That's why Jared messes with me all the time.
I know. I remember the box of the box of stuff when I was leaving the office that one day. Thought I was fired.
Dude, I looked out the window, I see Mike walking along with a gigantic box of all his stuff, and I was like, oh no. Bruce Leroy completely fools me into thinking that Mike got canned. And I was fighting it too. That was one of the harder ones. You worked hard for that shit. You did. What's the acting word? Oscar? Tony?
Oscar,
whatever
yeah.
the...
An Oscar.
Yeah, did you sing it? You sing it if you get Tony. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
No, Tony's the... Tony Awards is the theater, right?
Broadway, I thought.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but still, it's mostly singing.
Yeah. Well, how about fuck off and then we'll just move on.
Well, now that we know that Andrew also has a broad knowledge of Tony Awards, let's kick off my...
talk a little bit about the Tony Awards.
Yeah, talk about the
Broadway.
Tony Awards, not Tony Dollar Awards, the Tony Awards. No. Seriously, MMA is your background. Give a little bit of what you have here.
Yeah, I started wrestling like 7th grade, and kind of back in Oregon where I'm from, and worked from there, and wrestled all the way through high school and college, and ended up doing pretty well in high school. Won a couple hundred matches, and placed in state, and then went and wrestled in college for a little while, and came out here to Colorado, and started training some MMA. And
So where'd you go to high school? Where are you originally from?
I'm from a little town called Milwaukee, Oregon. It's a suburb of Portland. It's essentially the Aurora of the Portland, Oregon area.
It's called did you say Milwaukee?
Milwaukee.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually kind of a funny story. So it's supposed to be out of the same tribe that Milwaukee, Wisconsin's named after, I should say.
Uh-huh.
But it's like famously spelled wrong by this like drunk ass first mayor of the
I
city
love
of
these
Milwaukee.
kind of stories.
Yeah, it's right. Yeah. So Wilbur D. Rao was the first mayor of Milwaukee, and he spelled it Milwaukie. And so and they just stuck. Like no one ever like put the extra 3 lines on.
I don't know how to spell the regular. Do you?
Really?
Is it Miliwauki?
EE.
EE. EE is the way to go.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Got it.
And
Except for that.
and it's actually pronounced Milwaukee.
with that
In the native tongue.
It's
In the native tongue.
it's Algonquin for of the land.
What the hell is Algonquin?
It's from fucking
Native
Wayne's
Americans.
World. You guys don't remember that shit? That is from Wayne's World.
It's on
when
Netflix
fucking
right
Alice
now.
Cooper is describing Milwaukee.
That was the hand motion.
Does this guy know how to party or what?
It's on Netflix right now, folks. Educate yourself.
Just heard an interview with Dana Carvey not too long ago. He's an interesting dude, man.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
That's funny.
Did you know he struggles bad with anxiety?
Huh? I didn't know.
It's weird when performers do that. But anyway, I digress. So obviously it wasn't MMA to begin with. It was wrestling.
Yeah, that's where I got started. I mean, honestly, man, I think wrestling's the greatest sport you can do. Anyone can do it. You know, you watch every year. I mean, just a couple years ago, you had, Anthony Robles had one leg and he won a national championship, Division I. You guys, I have a couple kids in my club right now that have all sorts of reasons why they shouldn't be able to perform other athletics, and they can do this sport. It's a great way to go.
And that's the cool thing about wrestling is that wrestling is supposed to be one of the toughest when it comes to conditioning and like what you guys do for preparation, which is why a lot of people say that the people who start with a wrestling background become the best MMA fighters, as opposed to starting with striking, kickboxing, or something like that, and then having to learn wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and grappling and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to, and again, this is going to come across a little, one-sided, but I think wrestlers have a different gear. There's a different, there's another level they have to be able to turn it up and finish out that match that other striking sports just don't have. And then you just get a ton more matches, man. Like I said, I probably wrestled 500-600 wrestling matches in my life, man. And no other sport
I didn't
has
realize that.
near,
Maybe that's a big
and
part
I
of it,
didn't
too.
compete that much internationally. I have, my two buddies that I coached with at the high school, they both competed in the 88 and 2000 games respectively, and so, man, those guys got thousands of hours in the mat, thousands of repetitions of every single move that just doesn't come up in other sports.
I never did. Did you guys do wrestling at all? Either one of you two?
Dude, look at me. I was in high school. I was freaking 6'3", 170 pounds. I was a beanpole. You kidding me?
I started wrestling as a junior in high school.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, so what is wrestling practice like? Like, what does that consist of? What do you do? I mean, obviously...
Yeah, I mean, it's still different every day. I mean, one of the reasons why they say it's so tough is because when it gets down to, outside of, the drilling and the warm-ups and the gymnastics and stuff that you do, the actual, competition between your opponents or your teammates, there's no difference between how intense you do that and how intense you do it with your opponents,
Really?
Yeah, well, boxing, kickboxing, I got to, pull my punches. I'm not going to knock my buddy out, Then I can't train, he can't
Some people
train,
do.
someone
They were
gets hurt.
saying, was it Forrest Griffin? Who were they saying the other day? Mark Hunt or somebody? They were saying, one of the MMA guys, that sparring with him is just like a real fight.
Yeah.
He just goes
I've heard Hector
complete-
Lombard is...
Oh, okay.
One of my buddies has trained with him, and he says he's just a wild man.
All out every time.
That guy is the scariest dude on the planet, though, for sure.
Yeah,
I think
you
right
think
now.
so?
Yeah, Hector Lombard's a scary dude. But, yeah, wrestling, people get hurt, but it's not, for the most part, you can go just as hard on the mat or in the practice room as you can in a competition,
The one thing that I remember about wrestling in high school, at the high school I went to, is some cheerleaders got ringworm from the wrestlers' mat because their cheerleading practice was on the same mats as the wrestlers were.
So weird. So did the wrestlers have it too, or they just didn't get it and the cheerleaders got it?
One of the wrestlers had ringworm. And
Oh, that's funny.
cheerleaders got ringworm.
Yeah, man, take a shower, man. Don't be a dirty birdie. That's the worst. But did you guys ever see, the wrestling cheerleaders in high school?
Wrestling cheerleaders?
So we didn't have them, but there was our crosstown rival in high school had these wrestling
Jared.
cheerleaders.
Bruce Leroy's looking at me. I don't think they actually do the wrestling.
Yeah,
I think they
yeah.
cheer for the wrestlers.
Oh.
Yeah, you wrestle with cheerleaders later, when no one's looking. But no, so they would sit on the mat and they had these roll 'em in a pretzel, cheers they would do, And so it was my senior year, and so I was pretty highly ranked, and I was wrestling this kid from the crosstown high school that was not that great. And you wear that headgear in wrestling when you don't want messed up ears like I got. And I took him down, his headgear kind of popped loose, and I was trying to turn him over and pin him, and it was getting caught in my hand, it's making it tough. So I just grab it and just don't look and just throw it off the mat. And then I end up turning this guy over and pinning him, and then get my hand raised, I go do my cool down, and my grandpa's just dying on, in the stands. He waves me over here, and he shows me this video, and the cheerleaders doing their thing, rah rah rah, shish boom bah, and all of a sudden you see this headgear fly across the mat and just dome this little blonde cheerleader right in the face, dude. I felt so bad, just right in the beak.
And it was caught on video?
Oh yeah, it's
That
still
needs to be on YouTube.
Yeah, it's my highlight tape. I sent it into colleges.
My greatest wrestling moment. Oh, that's
Two
funny.
opponents at
That's
one
so
time.
crazy. So, but how did you know other stuff too, right? You know some jujitsu.
Yeah. I've done jujitsu for a few years now. I'm getting pretty close to getting my purple belt, and I've competed. And the thing about jujitsu is there's gi and no gi. So they're almost two different sports. Like this, they're really similar moves, but they have very different techniques and very different approaches to how you're going to execute the moves. And being from a wrestling background, it speaks really heavily to a transition to no-gi wrestling. So wrestlers tend to
go that way.
No, when you compete in both typically, but you do have a lot more success early on in no-gi because it's very similar. The takedowns are similar.
What does that mean? What's gi, no-gi?
Yeah. Well, when you're competing in gi, you wear the kimono, so like the the robes that you would wear, and you have the belt. So you wear like a traditional martial arts robe, and they're allowed to grab it. So they can grab your collar, they can grab your cuff, they can grab pretty much any part. It's really small portions that they're not allowed to grab, and it's really more about how you grab it. Like you can't have your thumb inside my sleeve, is one of the rules. So because of that, there's a lot more moves you can do because you can use the gi to choke, you can use the gi to armbar.
What a trip!
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But it really slows the game down a ton, right? So they really can. Someone like me who's a little bit more dynamic and tries to, make a lot more explosive style of competing in jiu-jitsu, makes it more difficult for me. So I've really but I love it. I'm learning. It's like learning a new sport for me. So I really try to kind of, learn as much diverse, maneuvers as I can, and
right.
Participate in as much different activities as I can. So it's really exciting that way. But gi, I had a chance to excel a lot more quickly, So I compete pretty much exclusively in like advanced divisions here in Colorado. So I actually won the tournament in November was the last one. I went and won that one. It's pretty fun. So that one ends up being a lot more closely related to wrestling. So it's a lot more explosive.
So let me get everything straight though. So you did wrestling in high school.
Yeah.
You've been recently doing jiu-jitsu. The MMA competitions we saw, I think, were like 2012-ish.
2012.
Yeah. There was one that you guys didn't see, I think, that was I competed in like late 2012.
Is that the knockout one?
Yeah, I didn't knock him out. I TKO'd him, but
okay.
Yeah, he's a pretty tough opponent though. He's a really good striker, really good boxer. So I just ended up trying to double-legging him a few times, and then
that's pretty cool to be able to beat somebody who's strong and striking and beat him striking.
Yeah, so I mean, I struggled with him a little bit, but it was mostly I took him down and then just he couldn't really hang on the ground. But he's a tough kid, man. He's fought a few times since then and had a lot of success. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because when you Google him on that Andrew Wolfe, when you go on the website on Google, it has only your 2 fights on there, and both of them are the rear naked chokehold submissions that you had, and those were like first round rear naked.
Those were so fast.
Yeah, this third fight was a lot more competitive. I still won both rounds pretty clearly, but I mean there were some exchanges in hands, and then there were some exchanges on the ground, and it was a really fun fight to be in. It really kind of it's good to test myself that way. So I felt it was a lot better.
So do you actively do all these things still?
Yeah, I do.
You still wrestle, you still do jiu-jitsu, you do MMA. Oh, right.
Yeah, I do. So yeah, I mean, I coach at 2 places. I coach at a wrestling club and a high school, both down in Castle Rock. They're actually both at the same location at Castleview High School.
Okay.
And I mean, I couldn't ask for better guys to learn from as far as philosophy of how to coach, philosophy of how to wrestle. Ike Anderson was in the '88 games in Seoul, and then Kevin Bracken was in the 2000 games in Australia. And so I mean, both those guys are just animals, man. Animals on the mat, and like know how to the way they explain everything and break everything down so intricately, but still make it simple enough that 6-year-olds can do really complex wrestling moves is incredible to see. So I've been coaching with them for about 4 or 5 years now, and it's been awesome. I feel like I've gotten so much better. If I wish I had that, when I was wrestling in college, wish I had the knowledge I had now, just because it's just crazy how incredible when it's explained the right way and when it's executed properly. It's just. Yeah, it's a beautiful sport, and I don't think people really look at it that way a lot of times.
It's an art.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
Definitely it's considered a martial art, especially now that MMA has made it so prevalent. I mean, if you look at most of the champions, I think 2/3 of them are wrestling backgrounds, either at college or junior college at some point.
Seems like all the really good ones have wrestling backgrounds.
All the heavyweights I've noticed are mostly wrestlers, like Cain Vasquez. He was Arizona State.
Yeah, he was an ASU guy. A lot of ASU guys make the transition because Arizona's a big MMA community, But Weidman wrestled at Hofstra, I think, or another school up in New York anyway. He was All-American there. John Jones was a junior college national champion.
John
Greco
Jones.
guy.
Dude, John Jones tested positive for cocaine.
Yeah, man.
What are your thoughts on that, man?
Hey, I mean, cocaine's one of those drugs where it's like no one's like doing coke to get a competitive advantage. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, I feel the same way about that I felt about when Nick Diaz tested positive for pot a few years ago, and they tried.
Snowboarding.
Yeah, they actually vacated They vacated his win, man. They took his money away, and like at least they haven't done that with John.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I was listening to what's his name, Levitar today, and he was talking about that. That was his big gripe. He was like, "Why the fuck do they care? Like, what does it matter?" But the funny thing to me about it is that doesn't that stuff? It only stays in your system for a certain amount of time, right?
Days, yeah.
So it was recent.
Well, they tested him in I think it was December, early December.
Oh, that's right.
Right. So they tested him a while back. So
That kind of brings up a whole nother thing. That did the UFC have that info, and they just say, go ahead and fight, and we'll address this after. Or I don't know.
I don't know exactly how it works, man.
You wouldn't want to cancel that fight twice.
No way, dude. Yeah, that's
the
that's a
money
lot
maker.
of paper, man. That's
the thing about the drug test and everything. We talked about this with Jose on the first episode. How in his sport it's different. You can be in one group and not be tested, and his group is natural, and it's like you have the lie detector tests and you have the pee tests and all that kind of crazy stuff.
Yeah,
the thing that I had said about the snowboarding, it's like when remember the dude in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Got his I don't even know what his name was. Took his gold medal away. I was thinking to myself, because he tested positive for marijuana. I was like,
he should get an extra medal.
You guys should get an extra medal because homeboy beat you all high.
Yeah, that's so true. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of a shocker, but that dude's sort of an anomaly in general.
No one's ever really seen anyone do anything like he's done.
Right, and the funny thing is they'll give him minimum. Like when he started, they were saying, I heard him talking about it on Joe Rogan, and they were talking about he's had minimum training and stuff, and he just picked things up so fast. He's just one of those ridiculous monster athletes. That whole family is just genetically, they just have.
Both his brothers are playing this weekend, man.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
they are both playing this weekend. Didn't even click.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
athletic family, man.
Yeah, he's an animal, man.
Sure.
He's already in the argument of being the best ever to step in the cage, and he's got another 10, 12 years in his career if he wants to stick it out that long and does things right. If he's not trained too crazy between fights, not getting knocked out and getting concussions between fights, and takes care of himself, man, he'll have a long career where he just is cleaning house, man. But I did hear there was some indications of maybe some performance-enhancing drug use, but
I heard that they're not sure though.
From what I understand, there's a lot of inconsistencies in how it was collected, and they don't really have proof, which to me says, hey man, do your rehab for coke thing if you want to, appease Dana and the fans, but no one's saying that Daniel won or came close. He did a good job. I think he put up a good fight for 2 rounds, and then just
isn't it ridiculous how that level of fighter can be dominated like that?
Yeah, it's I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it, man. For the most part, if you put an Olympian in the cage, I want to pick that guy to win until you prove me wrong.
Yeah.
John Jones proved me wrong, and a lot of the country wrong. So it's hard not to.
Did you have him picked? You kind of thought he was going to win?
I thought Cormier was going to win, man. He's just that level of athlete. He's incredible. But yeah, it looked like, hey man, I wasn't at his training camp. I'm sure he worked incredibly hard. It looked like he gassed out and just couldn't quite keep that pace up. So I don't know if he started too hard.
Watching John Jones just stop him from taking him down was ridiculous.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of body, man. I wrestled a guy in college at 125 pounds, and I'm 5'6" and kind of stocky, and this dude from Canada was 6'2", 125. Man, it was, I don't know how he did it. He was nothing but just dealing with that gangliness and figuring out how to get inside, get to his hips.
Dude, I came home from college when I'm 6'1", and I came home at $1.59 one time, and my mom almost shit a brick. She started feeding me immediately, and it was ridiculous. Dude, I was gaunt. I can't imagine would you say 120?
Yeah, he was 6'1", 6'2", 125 was the weight class.
His side job was a model.
Jeez. God, man, that is nuts.
Oh my goodness! No, but talking about the the UFC and stuff like that. Have you guys been looking at that stuff about CM Punk? And then how he got signed over the Green Ranger. Remember when we were growing up?
Yeah.
The Green Ranger from Power Rangers, the Jason something, but he's he actually does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff like that, and he's been trying to get into the UFC, and they signed. I can see why. Money. It's a name.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, of course, that's the only reason they're doing it. The funny thing is going to be to see what happens with it. How long is he going to train for? How long is he going to spend trying to prepare himself?
Is he going to be a Brock Lesnar?
But Brock was a wrestler.
Brock was a national champion.
Yeah, it's different.
And he played pro football. Brock said, not the same level of athlete as CM Punk is, and like I could be wrong, man.
That dude's
He's,
a beast, actually. Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar. The guy's ridiculous.
I don't want to fight him.
Oh, there we go.
Jared,
There we go. How much would it take to take a punch from Brock Lesnar?
Shit,
Or a takedown.
I'd rather get hit by him than Mike Tyson.
For striking, yeah.
Yeah.
But how much would it take for him to take you down and choke you out?
That would be painless. I'd do that for probably like 5,000 or 10,000.
Is it painless to get choked out? I don't even know.
I mean, for the most part, it's pretty easy.
It's pretty much just like, fuck, I'm stuck and good
Yeah,
night.
if you apply it right, like it's like over in like 2 or 3 seconds, and then you wake up, 30 seconds later.
See,
Yeah.
10 grand for 40 seconds.
Okay, that's a lot. Yeah.
That doesn't have any like effects on your brain or anything. So you don't get any oxygen to your brain or blood. Or...
Well, it's blood, but like it just turns off, dude. That's why you go to sleep, because your brain's like, oh,
Where you would be
we're
in
gonna
trouble.
take this next minute off of our life.
I think where you would be in trouble is if they put you in a chokehold and you went unconscious and they just kept holding it.
Yeah,
That's when you'd have some severe damage.
Yeah, every once in a while, someone will. I mean, yeah, keep blood out of your brain for long enough,
It's
people
trouble.
die,
That's trouble. Yeah,
That's
we were talking about that in the last episode. That's one thing I wonder about too, because I mean, obviously you started as a wrestler, but in MMA there's a lot of striking. Like, do you worry about concussions and stuff like that? Do you think have you had a concussion before?
I mean, maybe, man. Like you.
That's a fighter. That is a fighter.
I've been knocked out once, and like. And again, this is gonna sound horrible. So I was training at a club here in Denver, and there's this guy I was fighting, is tough as nails, man. He's but I fought at like 125 and 135, and he fought at like 55. So he's a couple weight classes bigger than me, and he's fighting on big pro shows now. He's good, so we were at their train. I was kind of like thought we were going light, evidently not, and so he came out there and like just. He has a really kind of interesting southpaw and orthodox stance, and so he kind of shook one way and threw a Superman punch and just nailed me and put me down, and so, and the way it's told to me is, I kind of like rolled backwards, got back up, put my hands up, and kind of finished out the round, and then they had me go sit down because I looked like I was, on Queer Street a little bit, and then I guess I got back up and fought like 3 more rounds, trained 3 more rounds. And
you don't
did
remember
pretty
it?
well. Yeah, no, yeah. I guess I took guys down, just kind of ground them out and wrestled them, and beat them up from the garden, the half guard and stuff. And yeah, I next time I remember was like an hour later, sitting next to my buddy. And I was like, "Hey Jamal, how'd I get over here, man?"
So you actually fought a couple of guys before you don't even remember, and you won.
I mean, it wasn't like fights; it was just training. So everyone's kind of,
so.
Sparring exactly. No one's trying to,
Still though, that to me that's crazy, because that's one thing I think about with fighting is I think it feels to me, and I'm a dumbass when it comes to fighting. I'm just making shit up probably, but it seems like it's really 2 things to me. It's like one is training and preparation, like preparing for like possible scenarios that you could encounter and how to deal with those, and the other part's just pure heart. But hearing that story really makes me think about how much was just pattern in your brain. Like you weren't even fully there, but you were still just doing the same thing your brain knew how to do and you had done so many times before.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think it goes back to the 10,000 hours, man. If you do something enough times, man, you're gonna figure out how to do it.
Mastery.
Well, and I mean, if you watch any fight, like we talked about wrestlers. If you watch, Phil Davis get hit, he goes to wrestling right away, and that's just kind of how guys go. If you watch, a big striker get taken down, if you watch Nick Diaz get taken down, he goes right to jiu-jitsu right away because that's what he knows. If you're put in a situation where you're uncomfortable immediately, you're going to revert back to kind of where your training lies and where your area of strength is.
And that's really how submissions happen. It's almost, isn't it? Usually, it's something you haven't seen before.
I mean, a lot of submissions, in my opinion, are guys just. If you watch a lot of submissions, it's like guys like it's called. You hear the phrase like pulling them into deep water a lot. You'll hear Rogan, a lot of commentators, Brian Stan, throw that phrase out there a lot. And I think it's really hard to understand and engage with what that really means until you've been in that situation before. Where a lot of times in jiu-jitsu, man, like you'll get in a situation where, for the most part, I know what I'm doing, But if I'm rolling with a black belt, if I'm rolling with someone who's just got my number in whatever position we're in, like there's that feeling where you just know you can feel it start slipping away, and you can feel it going away from an area where you're uncomfortable and where you can kind of put it back to where you have control, to where you're just slowly trying to stem the tide, and eventually your arm straightens out, or he gets his hand around your neck, or his hand around your knee, or whatever the case is, and then.
But you can kind of sense it before
At least that's been my experience, man. There's a lot of stuff where you get caught. That's different, But when you hear that phrase, when you hear good jiu-jitsu practitioners in MMA, man, you can see them just setting everything up nice and slow and pulling guys in and pulling guys in and pulling guys in, and then done.
Man, when he was describing how he was just going through the motions, You know, and it was like 3 hours later, I was like, hey, how did I get here? I do that when I fucking drive. When I get home, and I'm just like, damn, I don't remember getting on I-25.
That's because you do heavy drugs, Mike. That's
You
probably
kicking
something.
it with John Jones.
I gotta lay off that. I gotta lay off that DMT. So training wise, again, because music focused here.
Yeah.
What do you listen to when you train? What gets you pumped up?
Dude, it depends, man. Like if when I'm like training and trying to like really go hard and get ready to go. Honestly, a lot of classic rock, dude. A lot of stuff you heard on like Vision
Hell
Quest.
yes.
You know, like
Are you talking like Rocky? Like you were like?
Do you remember the
Survivor?
Remember the episode when we were talking about Jackson Brown and nobody at the table knew who it was? He was shocked at that,
dude,
as I
yeah,
was.
You guys, get it together, man.
Yeah.
But now,
Classic
like
rock.
now pre-fight though, I listen to a lot more. Like I listen to classic rock. It's a little bit heavier, you know.
Dude, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I saw your fight when you came out to Johnny Cash.
Every
That
time.
was
Every time.
dope. Oh, every time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so pre-fight, I listen to something that's gonna calm me down because, like, when I first started wrestling, I would get like super, super nervous, dude. Like,
I'm sure. Dude.
Like,
I
I would,
can't
like-
imagine.
I would like throw up before matches. I would get craziness, and so I just need to like if you watch me pre-fight, I'm super chill. Like I'm like joking around, having a good time with my buddies, and then it's not until I like get in the cage and really until after I like shake hands with my opponent that I'm like, okay, it's time to go, because then I can, mentally last that 3 or 5 rounds. Whereas if I'm getting super psyched, at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, I'm gonna be done by the time that fight starts. So yeah, usually throughout the
Dude,
game,
I
I'm
think
chill.
on days when I have shows, like it's in my head from the moment I wake up. Like I'm already thinking about it. I try to put it out of my mind, try to do other things, spend time with the kids always helps, kind of taking my mind off. But I can't imagine knowing at the end of the day, you're putting your life on the line. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen inside that cage. That's crazy for me to even imagine. Waking up in the morning and knowing tonight I'm going to get in and go to battle with somebody.
Yeah, it took a long time to like develop that though. Like I said, I really think that having that experience of just that, not the same type of competition, but that same like high level competition from wrestling for so long. I wrestled in national tournaments and international a little bit. So at the end of the day, like an amateur fight in, Denver is awesome, but the stage and the stakes are so much smaller. I'm not representing my college, my state, my country. It's not the same. I'm just kind of going out there and represent myself and the same,
Sure.
dozen dudes that I train with every day. So
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of a question I had for you too. Do you have higher aspirations for it? Would you ever want to go professional or?
I mean, I'll probably take a few pro fights here, but it'll be local. I just have fun with it, man. It's a new sport for me. It's something to learn, a new way for me to stay in shape and kind of develop new skills. I really love coaching, man. That's my new passion. If I could do
Okay.
that and, feed myself and my family, that's what I would do 100% of the time. It's so
yeah.
much fun.
You know,
I
the
love
amp
doing it.
song that would be hilarious that people would come out to would be the fucking like Zoolander style. Relax, don't do it. Because you remember that's the song that fucking triggers him to go psycho. Like, wouldn't that be hilarious? Like, Wolfe is like sitting in an octagon, and all of a sudden somebody like turns on the radio. Relax, don't do it. And he's like, ah,
He turns like
kill
Hulk.
the prime minister.
Do you guys know the Rory McDonald story?
God.
The what?
The Rory McDonald story about his walkout music? So this is like
I did hear this story, right? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's
tell.
like a pretty famous story in like MMA circles, I guess. But Rory McDonald's like huge fighter in the UFC right now. He's gonna fight probably one more fight and fight for the title again because they're gonna make Hendricks and Lawler fight a third time, which they should. But he's from Canada, and like I guess Joe Silva's one of the dudes that like or one of his interns, I would imagine, sets up all the fight music for everyone. So he basically usually just like kind of like you guys would do like, hey Andrew, what do you want to come out to? Send me a text, and I send Johnny Cash back. So he I guess Rory got a new cell phone number when he moved from one city to another city or whatever, and just never told anybody. And so some dude ends up getting his old cell phone number. Said dude happens to be an MMA fan and happens to know who the UFC is and who Rory is and all that stuff. And so he gets this text. It's like, hey Rory, this is Joe Silva. What do you want to come out to? And like starts like for like 2 years picked Rory McDonald's walkout music.
And the most crazy thing about that story is how Rory never thought about it. Oh, it was random. They picked this for
Yeah,
me.
he never said nothing. Like,
Yeah.
What was the songs that he came out to?
Dude, it's some funny ass ones. Which
yeah, he came out to some good ones. He came out to like a couple Metallica songs.
Yeah, okay, so here are the songs. So he went Seek and Destroy by Metallica.
Yeah.
The next fight he came out to Rihanna, We Found Love with Calvin Harris.
Oh my God. I think MC Hammer's one of them. I think he comes out
Light
to MC
Work,
Hammer
You Can't
once.
Touch This.
Yeah.
Nas, I Can. One More Road to Cross by DMX. And 300 Violin Orchestra by George Quintero. I don't know what that is.
You know, that's pretty solid.
Is it?
Yeah. But yeah, dude, it was like
So funny.
a couple years, and like, first of all, like the balls of that, just be like, let's see if I can get away with this, and then to put it all together, dude, like.
8 fights, 8 consecutive
fights?
Yeah, that's the songs I just
So
named.
how many years is that then? You said 2 years?
Yeah, two
Oh
to
my
3,
gosh, dude.
I would say.
That's hilarious.
If you're fighting 4 times a year, you're a busy dude. That's a
Which
lot
is
of
crazy
fights.
to think about when you think about like boxing. Those guys don't fight that much.
Once or twice a year.
Once a year, maybe.
Oh, and they fight
maybe
for like
twice.
$30 million and all sorts
Yeah.
of shit.
That's another thing. I
Yeah.
asked if you want to go professional, but it's kind of like, why would you? Especially if you're into coaching, because they don't make that much money, really.
No, but the risk for an amateur is almost the same. Honestly, like
Totally.
the two differences, at least in Colorado, and this is true of most states, is that you can't knee to the head, and you can't elbow on the ground. Are the two big differences. You can't knee and elbow.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, so you can knee the body all you want, man. You can freaking tear someone's liver up, but you just can't knee him in the chin. Which is nice for wrestlers, honestly. And not getting elbowed is nice because that is just devastating when done correctly. But I mean, if someone's gonna kick me in the head, throw me a couple $100. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not.
No, that's what I mean. Is that even
That's
the
Bruce Leroy too. He's like, yeah.
Man, a couple hundred to get kicked in the face? Nope.
Yeah, you're like coming out of amateur. You're probably looking at like most of these local cards. You're probably looking at like 400 and 400, something like that.
oh really?
Yeah,
That's-
400 show, 400 to win.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or like The Warrior, the movie The Warrior.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's the one with Tom.
Yeah, Bane.
Yeah, with Bane. They played Bane.
Yeah.
And then the dude who plays fucking the King of Egypt right now in the stupid Christian Bale movie.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know his name.
Yeah, they were in that movie. He was like a substitute teacher. No, not a substitute. He was a regular teacher, and he had an MMA background, and his brother did too, and he took fights like at local bars.
Is this the one that takes place in like feudal India? Or am I looking at the wrong
The
thing?
Warrior.
Yeah, it says the warrior, but who knows? That's probably a common name. Because this is about fighting too, but it's like in feudal India, a warrior Khan who renounces his role as a longtime enforcer. Okay.
Well, I imagine if you Google Warrior, a lot of fighting stuff is going to come up. I doubt there's going to be musicals.
Well, that's a
Tony.
2001 movie. I don't know what that is.
It was. I never saw it, but it's like an MMA movie. It's not.
It's actually a pretty good movie.
Oh, I found it.
It's pretty
not feudal
decent.
India. It's
I looked up
probably like,
The Warrior. This is Warrior.
Yeah, it's probably like 2010 Philly or something like that, as
Tom
opposed to
Hardy
feudal
and
India.
Tom, yeah, there you
Joel
go.
Edgerton and Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. That's what it was.
Talking about fighting, have any of you guys? We know Andrew has, but let's just. Have any of you guys ever just taken a beating?
Oh yeah.
Just got
Yeah, I've
your
been taking
ass
a beating.
whooped? Like, what's the worst beating you've taken, Andrew?
I mean, I don't think I've ever really like gotten my ass kicked. Like I got knocked out that one time, but that's not the same. Like getting knocked out once is not that bad. You know what I mean? Like I look back at it, but I've never really gotten like just beat up. I've gotten beat up in some wrestling matches, way worse than I've gotten beat up in fights. I've never gotten beat up in a fight.
So now I know why you're not
Even in
concerned
training.
about concussions.
Yeah.
He's like, I deal concussions. I don't take them.
No, it's just different, man. You can, protect yourself. And I haven't fought pro or anyone that's like super high level, But yeah, I've gotten freaking my ass beat by some really, really tough wrestlers, and that I'd way rather go into a fight and lose than do that again for keeping it the same level of damage I've taken.
Yeah. Again, the only time I probably got my ass beat was when I said it didn't hurt to my mom. The first time she spanked me. Other than that,
Adriana Peterson
only
took
that,
care.
I've been only other time than that I got in one fight, and I was like in middle school, and my mom was pissed, and she had to come pick me up, and as we're driving, she didn't say anything to me, and she goes, finally looks over to me, I better not have picked you up from school if you didn't win. And I was like, I won. She's like, if this happened again, you better win. I was like, I did win, Mom.
You're wasting my time.
She wanted you to be tough, huh?
Yeah. So what'd that girl do to make you kick her ass, man?
My mom was old school, man. My mom was old school.
That's how you do it, man.
Just talk back. Old school Mexican lady just beat your ass. You had the look. You got the look as the warning. And then if you didn't acknowledge the look, Then the next one was, do you want to go to the car?
Dude,
And then you were like, bam, I'm done.
your mom sounds like she did not play, dude.
Yeah, you got kids, Tony. So how do you do you handle like conflict differently when you're like, if your boy comes home, he's like, hey, kid at school's picking on me, then they're like, your daughter did it?
I honestly haven't had it yet.
Haven't had it yet?
Yeah, he's in 3rd grade now, but I know it's coming. I'm kind of old school in that sense. Like, I think you got to defend yourself.
Yeah, man, I think you tell him to hit him. You know?
I'm not a fan of throwing the first punch, but I've been beat up because of that before.
I was gonna tell you, man, the first punch is the last punch a lot of times.
Yeah. So, right, I definitely might rethink everything on that. Speaking of getting beat up, though, one time in junior high, you've heard my junior high song, haven't you, Mike?
Yeah.
That's what the story is about. I started a new junior high school on the other side of town in Fresno, and I wore blue shorts and a blue shirt and a blue Dodgers hat. And I didn't know I was in a red part of town.
Okay.
So I got cornered by a crap ton of dudes, and they just beat the snot out of me. So that was probably the worst I've ever been beaten up, I'd say. But I wrote a song about it, made light of it. Wonder where those dudes are now. I know where I am, so...
I'm up in the suburbs here in county.
Wrong?
Yeah, your place is out here. You could see Crips coming from a long way away. You're out here. You're well insulated.
No, it was the Bloods, actually, because I was dressed like a Crip.
Well, yeah, but now you
Completely unintentionally.
But now you change colors, so now your boys are gonna come back and get you, man.
Yeah.
What about you? What about you, Brucey, right?
Yeah.
I got tossed in college. And like he said, I'm of the opinion.
Is this the one you told me about on the car and all that?
No, I think you told both of us at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm of the same opinion, Andrew. First punch is the last punch, so I'll warn you. Like, if you touch me, I'll tell you not to touch me.
No. It's different if they touch you first. I'm talking about just swinging cold on somebody. Because to me, that's a pet peeve. I can't stand it when somebody's just standing there and just, whoop-pow, and they're out and it's over. And you're like, oh.
If I'm calm and I feel like you're going there, like if you're saying it with your chest and you're getting real close, and I think if you're going there and I'm not trying to go there, I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, no,
you're not
true.
going to get this bomb on me. But anyway.
I think we're running into this, like, small guy versus big guy mentality right here, man. Like, people don't really mess with
How tall are you,
guys,
Bruce Leroy?
5'8" with my shoes on.
And you said you're 5'6"?
Yeah, I'm 5'6" with his shoes on.
Dude, do not mess with short guys. I'm telling you, it's a quick way to get your ass kicked. I've seen so many people underestimate small guys in my life. I remember this dude Brian Wasserman in junior high. Oh my God, he's like this. He's like 3 feet tall, but he was a beast. Nobody messed with him.
I think you have to be at that time.
Why don't you retell your story though, Bruce?
I got tossed in college, and I was in our fraternity. Shout out Kappa Sigma, Gamma Rho. They probably have no idea who the fuck I am. Everybody there now is like 18. I'm 30. But a big dude rolled in, and I was drinking and shit and being crazy, and he wouldn't leave and whatever. And I was like, "Yo, you gotta go." And he was like, "What you gonna do?" I was like, "I'll make you leave." So he touched me. I warned him. He touched me again. So then I just hit him, and he was big. So I like jump punched him. Because he was like 6'4", so I hopped and hit him, and I hit him good. I felt like it was good. I hit him, and when I came back down, he kind of did that head turn.
And then he looked at you.
Yeah, and then he just looked at me like, motherfucker, please. Dude, this big dude, he fucking picked me up, put me on the ground, and I was like doing like rolling, trying to duck him, and he was whooping my ass. It took, by the time our frat brothers pulled him off of me, you want to get up to your feet, and you're like, yeah. I was like, oh, shit, thank you. Thank you. He was whooping my ass.
I don't think an ass beating in your life ever hurt anybody.
No, I think everyone needs one. Yeah. And this is like another short guy thing. People don't think about this. When you got to hit someone taller, that like top row of teeth tears your knuckles up, man. You got to aim low.
Never thought about that.
So all you short dudes out there, think about that, man. Right below that, right where that like weird like piercing would be, that's where you want to aim, right? You hit that top row of teeth.
Yeah, that's probably a good call.
You gotta get some stitches, and you don't want to be. If you throw a punch, you don't want to be the guy with the copay. That's the worst, man. That's not what you.
Never thought about that.
I never did either. Something you want to think about before you punch somebody, though.
The copay, if you have insurance.
Yeah, if you have, that could get bad if you don't.
ColoradoHealthcare.com.
Yeah. I thought it was it is .com. That's right. It's not .gov. It's a .com one.
So it's been a while since your last MMA fight, right?
Yeah, it has been a while. I tried to fight a few times this year, and just for whatever reason, man, some stuff didn't work out. I was supposed to fight this one dude. He was coming down from 45 to 35, and so I was like, I walk around at like 145-ish after practice, so super easy cut. So I was going to fight him there.
Yeah, let's talk about a little bit about that, because people who don't know a lot about fighting and stuff don't understand the weight classes. Like, how many weight classes? Yours are the same as, like, watching UFC, right? It's the same weight classes.
They're much more standardized now. You know, some promotions don't have, especially smaller weight classes like 125, where I like to fight a lot because I'm, you know, a little bigger there, and it's still easy for me to make the weight class because I made it so much in college, you know. But yeah, a lot of guys promoters don't offer it because a lot of dudes just don't fight there. Like, it's tough to find, you know, men that weigh 125 pounds or are willing to cut that much, you know. So yeah, but it's 125, 135, 145, 155. 170.
And you've had a long time in between fights. What are you walking around right now?
I'm up 45 right now, but I'm not lifting that much either. So usually, man, like my workouts kind of go to shit when wrestling season rolls around because I'm just in the gym coaching those kids and high school kids so much. You know?
See.
So I get like some little light lifts in. On Sundays, I typically go down to Castle Rock Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and work out with those guys down there. They're terrors down there. But so I get like one really good day a week for myself, and then like some lifting in the morning. You know, maybe a run in here every once in a while, a few days a week. But yeah, you know, I'd actually one of my New Year's resolutions. I listen to the podcast, fellas, is to get up to 160 this year. I'd like to get up to 160 if I can. You know,
Okay.
so that'd be the biggest I've
big.
ever been by far. So
Yeah.
yeah. So see if I can do it. But yeah, I've been about 52, 54 before, and that was pretty good size for
Cool.
me.
And so you're hoping to have a fight this year?
Yeah, I'm hoping to fight this year. I'd probably fight at 35, especially I'm trying to gain weight, you know. So, but yeah, I tried to fight like 3 times this year, and one guy ended up taking a fight with someone else. A couple of you just pulled out for whatever reason, man. You never know.
Scared.
Yeah, whatever, man. They got hurt, they got scared, whatever the case may be, you know. Then I got offered a fight in Montana on like 2 weeks' notice, like when I, you know, during wrestling season. I'm like, dude, you can't just call me up out of nowhere, man, and don't expect me to drive to Billings in 2 weeks, you know, like, which really means like 10 days, because you want like a couple of days there to like train and get, you know,
For sure.
and weigh in and stuff. So.
For sure. Yeah, and that was something I was curious about too. How long do you train for a fight?
I mean, you know, I'm never really out of shape, so I'd like to have, you know, 4 weeks the minimum if I can, 3 to 4 weeks the minimum. 6 to 8 is probably, you know, ideal.
Yeah, I imagine if you were a fighter, that staying in shape all the time is really good, because you see fighters that don't. What was that boxer? What was the guy we talked about him a couple episodes ago? The one who got knocked out by Pacquiao real bad.
Hatton.
Ricky
Oh,
Hatton.
yeah.
That dude lets himself go between fights. And he was going to retire and stuff, and then I don't even know what's going on with him. I think he's coming back again.
And some guys that get the success, like Duran is like one of the most famous stories of that, man, when he just beat the snot out of Sugar Ray, and then let himself go. Exactly, let himself
Yeah, when he
go,
said
came
I'm
back,
good.
and then just couldn't hang, quit.
In my experience in training for fights, and when I say my experience, I'm talking about Xbox One, fight night.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fighting with my wife so I could play
Fight
Xbox.
night. The minimum is 4 weeks that you can train for. So if your guy has all attributes, and
That's true.
if you buy enough Microsoft points, your guy can be badass and just fight in 4 weeks.
Dude, that game is the easiest shit of all time. I like rented it. I was like, all right, this is cool. I'll shell this $60 and buy it. You know what I mean? Why not? You know, it's the closest thing to like, you know, a video game or something that I do that I can get behind. You know, so I bought it. I'm playing it. I rented it, so I rented it for like a week. You know, and I'm playing around with it. Dude, I won like 30 fights straight and won the titles. I'm taking this shit back. I'm not paying $60. All I did was double leg and throw elbows.
Me and
To, like,
Bruce Leroy
30
here.
wins.
Me and Bruce Leroy here on the Fight Night Boxing Champion.
Now that game's cool.
Fight Night Boxing Champion. It was free. It was a free download, and I was like, dude, I'm training. I'm trying to get legit. I was like, I'm getting knocked out. And Bruce Leroy was like, man, you just got to buy $5 worth of Xbox points. He goes, and you boost your character up. He goes, in first round knockout. And sure as shit, I bought 5 points, Microsoft points. I put all these attributes out, and it was a left hook every single time that did people in. Bam! And I was like, damn, that sucks. But then I tried to play that. And I'm sorry if Dana White does listen to this. The last UFC fucking game sucked. There is so many goddamn controls on that thing. It's retarded.
I heard that actually. Yeah,
It is so dumb. If you like want to take a takedown, it's like R, L, B, and you're like pushing all these damn buttons. Like the fucking tutorial was retarded, dude.
That's the one I'm talking about, though. I got a double leg down and elbows, and that's all you need.
That's all you did,
That's all you needed.
But it was dumb. It was just like so many controls, you know. Like I guess I'm still from the old school time where it's just like, you know, A and B.
Dude, I remember we used to have like
that's it.
in college we played like original Xbox, and there was like this Rocky game.
Yeah,
And,
I
like,
played that.
Remember that one? And it was the best because like the fighting part was cool, but the best was the training because you could like run around and catch the chickens. Like
Or you know what else was fun?
You don't know, and it was the most racist shit of all time because like every once in a while a little black chicken would come out and it was faster, and you had to like catch. And you got like bonus points for catching the black
That's Apollo
chicken.
Creed.
I want you.
Mr. T
I
was
want
black too.
Yeah, but Mr. T was the bad guy. Mr. T was the bad guy.
That's horrible. That's probably true.
Oh my god, I don't play video games. It's not my thing. I say it's because it takes up too much time. But it's really because I suck at them. Every video game I ever played, I was a king. I'm Super Mario 1.
Yeah. So did you guys watch a lot of boxing or more MMA or what do you guys get
More
into?
boxing.
More
I'm
boxing, yeah.
just getting into MMA. We were talking before this podcast about how one of the big inspirations I had for starting this whole thing was Joe Rogan's show, and listening to that all the time has got me into MMA.
I'm a
it's
big fan.
Opened up a whole new world for me. Yeah, MMA is real cool, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. But yeah, I dig boxing too, man. I don't know. Yeah, I like watching a lot of the old boxing fights. Like a lot of just today. Like I like Klitschko. What he does is amazing. The run he's been on for like 10 years is ridiculous.
It is.
But as far as just watching
What's his
competitive boxing, man, it's just not the same as like
It's
the
all
80s
about-
and 90s.
Now, yeah, because what it is Floyd Mayweather is the poster boy of this. It's all about points now.
Mm-hmm.
You can win a match with just points. You don't have like back in the day. It used to be knockouts. Like you were just knocking out. You were boxing. You were punching. You were brawling. It was brawlers. Now it's just technical.
It was always dudes like Roy Jones Jr. that freaking dad whooped him every day since he was 4 years old. They had to go, prove something, man. That guy's my favorite boxer of all time.
He chased
Roy
chickens.
Jones Jr.
That front hook, bah, done, man.
He's so fast.
One title was
He's
like
badass.
54 and 205.
Yeah, he was just fast. Roy Jones Jr. was so fast. I mean, what he was fighter of the decade for 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was the 90s fighter of the decade.
Yeah, and he got probably the worst Olympic hosing I've ever seen in my entire life. When he fought the Korean in '88.
Yeah.
You got he just beats this like I think he knocked everyone out through all the first preliminary rounds. He gets in the finals against this Korean dude, and it's the 88 games. So they're in Seoul. So the Koreans like took all the judges out and like bought him cars and took him out to dinner and whatever, all the delights that Seoul, Korea has to offer. And he just beats the he like knocks him down in the first round. Beats the snot of this Korean dude, and they get the gold medal to the Korean.
Lost the decision.
Yeah, and the Korean guy was like, I got my ass kicked, man. Like, I did not win this fight. Like, how did...
And that's a big part of what my problem with boxing is, more than the artistic thing. I mean, obviously, it's not nearly as exciting or fun to watch when somebody wins a match by decision. Well, not just by decision, too, but like Mayweather does, just artful defense and, just really good timing and good counterpunching. I don't mind that as much as just the shit that happens with the decisions and, like...
Yeah, dude, and you're getting some more, like, not a lot of it, but you get some of that in MMA, too, like, where they got, like...
I'm sure.
To me, and again... Dana, I'm sorry if you want to give me a contract later. But to me, the whole, like, the last fight with Hendricks and Lawler was close, but I thought Hendricks won the fight pretty clearly, And now it's like, oh, Lawler wins, and you have this magical third fight this year that's going to make a fucking mint for everybody involved, And again, maybe that's... And I want to see these fighters earn more money. Like this lawsuit, I believe they probably deserve a little bigger piece of the pie. But anytime money gets involved, even if that's not true, even if I'm totally off base, man, it's in the back of everybody's mind. Like,
of course, yeah.
No.
Now, like, we're talking about boxing, about brawling and everything like that. Like, I've been keeping up with boxing and everything like that. Right now, I think a guy who's bringing back brawling right now, heavyweight, I've seen him fight a couple of times on Showtime. Deontay Wilder.
He's a beast.
That guy's a man-child.
Hey,
dude.
but you notice...
He is a beast.
You notice nobody will fight him.
No, that's the thing, too.
Nobody will fight him.
He is, like, I think, like, he's like Klitschko style, too, where his, like, 90% of his fights are, like, knockout. They will end in a knockout.
Yeah.
The Deontay Wilder, he's just, like...
32 wins, 0 losses, 32 knockouts.
32 knockouts.
How many
100%.
times has he fought for the title?
0.
How is that possible?
And he's not even the pound
right.
for pound either. He's not even pound for pound. He's a heavyweight. He's in the same division as Klitschko.
But, I mean, I'd love to see that fight, but Klitschko is... he's like needs like one more belt before he owns every single alphabet belt.
Unanimous. Where he's the Then his brother has the other one though, or no?
He retired or something.
His brother
he's done.
retired.
He's
Yeah,
done.
and so that's
That's another guy who has everything, man. Badass, kind of good looking, gets a bang hidden Panteri.
Hey, he
That's
got
some
my
bullshit.
girl.
That's
little girl.
Bruce Leroy here is a big fan of Nashville. In case anybody ever wants to.
What are you talking about?
Show Nashville.
Oh, the show. Who was trying? Somebody was trying to tell me to watch
dude.
that.
Look at this black ass dude. White. What is it on Undercover Brother? The black man's weakness.
I love white girls.
White chocolate.
Love them. Hey, and she fine and a motherfucker. She had me singing country songs, wearing cowboy hat, and all that shit. Belt buckle. I'll do whatever she wants.
Oh man.
She's like, Bruce Leroy, I need you to take a punch for Vladimir Klitschko.
What do I get to do?
Whatever you want, Bruce Leroy.
Hit me now.
I don't know. That's a tough call. Iron Mike or Vladimir?
Vladimir.
He's a lot bigger. There's a lot more man behind that punch.
Well, it depends. Yeah, if you're talking now.
Yeah.
But dude, I was watching. I was telling
prime.
Mike. I watched this it was like an hour highlight reel of Mike Tyson.
Dude, that guy was
so ridiculous. He had multiple knockouts with liver punches, and we were talking
Body
about the
punches.
lefts too. They're
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, it's always the left hook, but
I mean, I'll tell you guys right now, if I'm going to take your hardest shot, I will take it to my dome way before I take it to the liver, dude. That is the worst.
Who was that?
It's just a weird, like, crippling feeling. Like, it's like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like, you get hit and you're just like,
that's what they.
you want to be able to move, but you can't do anything. Like, it's like this weird magic button where you
It's
just
like somebody
clam up.
fucking put pause on the video game.
What's the commentator that was just Brian? What's his name? That
Stan?
was Stan.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying. He was like, it's like you're watching it and you want to do something about it, but there's nothing you can do. You can't move.
Yeah, like I think everyone who ever had an out-of-body experience got kicked in the liver before they went to sleep that night, and that's what it feels like, man. You're just ugh.
Well, no, I think what Mike Tyson, has the highest recorded punch, like with the pounds per square inch in history.
Is that right?
Dude, he hits so hard.
Something like that.
So hard, and you can always see it too. You'd see him go against these real tough fighters, and they'd get in the ring, and you could just tell they just don't know. And they get in as soon as they get hit by that first punch. They're just like, "This isn't human." Like what?
They don't have any idea. They're like, "What the fuck was that?"
Yeah, that's how Pacquiao was when he was younger. You'd watch people get in the ring with him, and they just didn't see it. They're, he's a little Asian dude. It's no big deal.
It's so
They bap,
hard.
bap, bap. Oh God, what's happening?
But yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons, honestly, why we saw Tyson fall is as soon as he hit Lennox Lewis and Holyfield, and they didn't go down.
What was he?
He didn't know what to do. Man. Everybody his entire life, he was hitting the chin, went down.
yeah.
You know, like
True.
That is valid. Yeah.
That's a really good point.
By then, he wasn't the same guy though either. He wasn't the same dude that you had seen. By then, he had been Robin Givens. He had been Don
Robin
King.
Givens.
You know, like when he lost to Buster Douglas, he was like, I saw that Mike Tyson, his little stand up where he was just talking about his life. You
The
ever seen
Broadway.
that?
Dude,
That's
that's
like-
actually
that's a
fucking
dope
it's
show,
pretty
dude.
good, dude.
So
Yeah,
we're all
HBO special, yeah.
So we're all agreed that is a great, great thing. Yeah,
It
I
was
love it.
highly entertaining. And
Me
he
too.
was just like, at that point, I didn't give a shit about boxing. He was like, I had cocaine, I had strippers.
He was saying that even before
He didn't
the
even train.
Lennox Lewis fight, he just did a whole bunch of cocaine right before the fight.
him and John Jones, man. It worked out. So we're 1-1. Cocaine is 1-1 and fucking heavyweight titles.
Allegedly. No, actually, that's not even
No, it's
allegedly.
not.
'cause it
No,
was-
he did that shit.
No, he failed the test.
Yeah.
He went into rehab today or whenever it was.
You ever seen John Jones' wife?
No.
Are they married now?
Girlfriend?
Whatever. Yeah, baby mama.
Yeah, that one too. So, after he won the fight, I Googled her because I was like, I wonder what she looks like. So I see this picture of her, and there's like before and after pictures of before he was title holder, before he was John Jones,
Yeah.
And so the before picture was just like, I was like, man, she kind of rough. She all right. John, please don't listen to this. She kind of all right. And then after he became champion, John Jones, she must have been like, oh, there's too many holes after my man. She got tan. She had extensions. I was like, you're the same woman? She look fine now.
Yeah, there's a lot of different
Dude,
pictures
you
of her.
look
She
at her
doesn't-
before and after picture, and you'll be like, who are you?
Yeah, she's not really that hot.
That's before right there.
That is before, yeah.
Rough.
Got that perm going.
That's what happens when you buy in early, man. You gotta,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're in for the long run.
She
You know
paid her
what?
dividends.
So Bruce Leroy before in episode 2 was talking about Giselle and how mad he was at
Tom Brady's wife.
Brady. But you know what? Like another guy that's in there and everyone was like jealous about. Remember AJ McCarron?
Yeah.
Yo. Oh, oh, my God.
AJ McCarron's girl in college.
But at least he doesn't have, he's riding the pine pony right now. He's not, going to be in the Hall of Fame in a few years.
But still, when that national
Oh,
when that
snap.
champion was out there, now you're looking at
Yeah, I just Googled her.
I think
Holy
she got more airtime than AJ
smokes.
McCarron did in that national championship game.
yeah.
Man. Didn't that dude lose his job? Like the announcer that kept
Sweet
going back to
Lord.
her.
I'm not sure, but
Yeah, they were even making comments. She'll make you make a comment. I'm telling you.
Bruce Lee, right? I remember that when we were talking about that. I was like, we were at work, and that's the first thing I was like, hey, did you watch that national football game? And Bruce Lee was like, yo, did you see AJ McCarron's girl?
First thing out of his mouth.
Fuck football. I love football, but woo.
Jeez.
Speaking of national championships, the good guys are
There
playing
you go.
this
Yeah,
year.
let's talk about that. That's your
Yeah.
alma mater, right?
That's no, well, they cut the wrestling program, so I didn't end up going there.
Talking about Oregon Ducks, by the way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's really too bad. It's the only bad thing I have to say with the University of Oregon is they cut the wrestling program, and dude, there's a lot of political rumors and bullshit that went on behind that. You know, they had a national champion like 2 years before they cut the program. Like a native Oregonian won an NCAA title for the University of Oregon, and they ended up cutting their program. They said it was because of like Title IX issues, but you know, in further research, the alumni group found that they were in total like compliance with Title IX. They were going to add baseball in a women's sport, and like the alumni group, like I donated to it, but the alumni group ended up raising like $3 million to try to save the sport, and they still cut it. Like a guy who's not there anymore, but yeah, some douchebag athletic director just didn't want wrestling around, man. Like I don't know what it is.
Do you think that's really what it was? It was like one individual dude, or
I
know what
mean,
it was? It's
no
a
one
Nike.
else.
It's a Nike conspiracy. Ain't no money in wrestling for Nike.
They make wrestling shoes, man. I don't know what to tell you. No, I mean, I think it was, you know, I don't think he had like it out for wrestling in particular, but it's a sport that's like not a lot of glory in it for the college, you know, a lot of glory in it for the individuals. Doesn't make a ton of money. Doesn't cost a ton of money either, but you know, baseball is making them a lot of money right now, and they just put a lot of money into it, which is why they're good right away. You know, that's why they've been around for 5 years and they played in, you know, 3 College World Series. But, you know, that being said, Eugene's a great place, Oregon's a great school, and I'm looking forward to freaking Ducks taking care of business this weekend, man.
yeah, obviously this problem you're talking about with wrestling though is a big one. There's a SaveOregonWrestling.org. I didn't know about all this.
Yeah, dude. Like I think they've raised close to $3 million right now. I think their goal is like 6, which would be enough to keep the program alive for like 10 or 12 years. So, I mean, if you can self-fund for 12 years, then it's hard to argue.
So did you say the program's completely like gone?
They might have a club sport or something.
Well, right, okay. Jeez, that's crazy.
But, I mean, that's what Arizona State did, too. Like, their program got cut, and their alumni saved it, and now they're a top 10 program in the country.
yeah, that's what these guys are working on. Looks like they've
What
got
is
some
it?
support.
Which one?
ASU?
So they're coming up. They're real close to having raised $2.6 million, and their goal is $6 million, I guess.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so get your pocketbooks opened up, Oregon Duck fans out there. Save Oregon Wrestling.
You know what, though? And when we're talking about the national championship, I think I think it definitely is going to be Oregon.
There's no question.
You know what it is? It's just that fucking offensive thing, dude. They are, dude.
They're
Florida State did not know what to do when it came to
Right.
the defense. They were doing
Yep.
plays every 16 seconds, dude. Just going.
They look so confused.
They didn't know what was going on. And like, you know, what's his name? The running back Ty.
Oh, well, there's a couple of them. You know, there's Hoyce Freeman, who's a freshman, and there's the guy you're thinking of. It's actually from Oregon. He's a native, and his name is Tyner, Thomas Tyner.
Thomas Tyner, dude. When they were doing all those plays, like Oregon had, like, I mean, not Oregon, Florida State had no idea, and they were just running all over him. And I think, wasn't that the best game of his career?
Yeah, well, he's been hurt all year.
Yeah.
He's been hurt all year. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Oregon's offense is as soon as they get a bad matchup, they'll run the same play 5 times in a row until you stop it. You know, it's like I play Madden. Like, just press that Y button until they call a timeout. You know, and you
That's
keep pounding the rock.
that's Tecmo's Super Bowl
Bo
running
Jackson.
with Bo Jackson and Barry Sanders.
You know what?
Thomas Tyner was actually track and field is how he started. They said
Oh yeah.
in high school.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, Devin Allen was the national champion for 110-meter high hurdles last year. He just got hurt in the game against Florida State, but he's a wide receiver for the Ducks too.
Yeah. Why is everyone talking so much about it? They have something to prove. You think so?
I mean, they've never won a national title
Yeah, this is
before.
the first
Is
national.
that all it is, though?
championship, yeah.
I mean, they've only really even been kind of sort of in the thought for like 15 years. Like Joey
Yeah,
Harrington in
Cowherd-
2000 was like the first time they were kind of in the thought for being there.
Yeah.
A little
Did you guys
bit,
listen
you
to
know?
Colin Cowherd today, by chance? He was talking
No.
about
I
that
caught
this morning.
I caught a little bit of it. Yeah,
He was going off on that. He was just like, people are putting way too much emphasis on the whole national title thing, and he was making comparisons to like Peyton Manning. You know, how many rings does he have, and how good of a quarterback is he? How people put a lot of emphasis on that kind of stuff, where you can have, because there's a lot of factors that go into getting into it and then actually being able to win it and
Dude,
stuff.
Florida State only won their first one in 2006. That was their first national title. You know? A lot of people don't even think about that.
It
now.
won't
Now
matter
they're
though,
a
because
powerhouse.
I really think Oregon's going to win Monday anyway. So we'll shut everybody
Yeah,
up.
I
you
think
think
they
about
got a good
Florida
shot,
State too. Like back in the day, how he was saying, like 2006 was their first championship, but even that before that, like they had some good teams. You know, like what Charlie Ward.
Yeah.
Charlie Ward was in their quarterback. You know, they were
Well,
pretty
Florida
good then.
football, man, like Miami, Florida, Florida State, they've always been
The U.
powerhouse.
The Rock
Yeah.
was on the U.
Dude, that guy is a fucking man-child, dude.
Yeah, he works out like a beast.
Well, that's the other thing I was reading online. Like there was like a whole bunch of debate going on. I was like, is he juicing? Is he juicing? No, that dude just has the most ridiculous work ethic ever.
He does.
Like if you follow him on Twitter, like how Joe Rogan was saying
5 a.m.
Yeah, he was like leaving 5 a.m. going to so and so, and then he was like, no, he said
Just
arrived.
landed.
Yeah, just landed 5 a.m. and he's like 5:30 in the gym, and it is no joke. If you follow The Rock, Dwayne The Rock Johnson on Twitter, his work ethic is ridiculous. He's always in the goddamn gym. He always has like videos and just like when he was doing the Hercules movie. Which was like actually a pretty terrible movie. Sorry, Rock, but when he was doing that movie, dude,
I didn't
his
mind it.
training,
I think he'll sleep comfortably in his fucking $1 billion bed. He'll be all right.
yeah.
Did you guys see that? Did you guys see her again?
Not yet.
It was. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it.
My whole thing is a Samoan as a Greek.
You got
Well, the whole
Christian Bale
concept.
playing Moses. What are you talking? Get Woody Allen playing Moses. Let's get this thing real. Let's get.
Can you imagine that movie? Woody Allen.
we need the pot, the Red Sea.
Dude, I would buy the movie fucking 100% more times if Woody Allen was playing Moses than Christian Bale.
That would be kind of hilarious.
I'm telling you right now, yeah.
How about some news, guys? Got the U.S. House passed the controversial Keystone Pipeline bill. They're saying the Senate's probably going to pass it next week. Obama's saying, as soon as it gets to my desk,
Yep.
I'm going to veto it.
Goodbye.
There it is. Get on your horse. Yeah.
The funny thing is, I don't think many people know really what's going on, like what it is, because most of it's already built.
It's media.
Yeah.
It's really from what is it from? Is it from Nebraska to somewhere up in Canada, transporting stuff back down here?
I'm glad you guys are socially responsible. You keep up with all that stuff.
Aren't you supposed to be like suing someone for this in a couple years, man? Like, shouldn't you read up now?
Like the next 4 weeks, all I care about is football.
Right. It's hard not to.
How about Paris?
Dude, Paris is
That
a
was
wreck
some
today.
nut
Did they wrap
shit,
it up
man.
today?
Actually, yeah, they did.
Okay.
Well, no, their homegirl is still on the run. I think.
No,
right
I
now.
thought they killed everybody.
No. There was
The sister.
four. There was four. So they killed 3 dudes. They killed 2 in like one area. The brothers. They killed the brothers, and then they killed homeboy in the kosher market. And homegirl is on the run right now. So there was 4 allegedly, and then like homegirl is still on the run. But how we were talking on the last podcast, there was death threats to that dude that made the cartoon.
Yeah. Was that last podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know we were talking about that. It's a crazy.
Actually, the last 2 podcasts, I think.
Yeah, it may have been a couple ago. I felt like that was the one with Daylena, but
Man, I just don't get like terrorists these days. Like I remember when you would like when people would bomb like the World Trade Center and these like big like totems to like whatever they're fighting against. Now people
What
are
does that
bombing
mean?
like dudes trying to get matzo ball soup and going on a run in Boston.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
right?
Like, what is that saying? Like,
Well, then like the thing, like everyone's like, and there's there's the Muslims, there's Islam, and they're saying like there's the extremists and so on and so forth. Well, like the guys that were doing it now are Muslim, and they were doing the whole extremist thing. Well, you have like it's funny because there's like the different levels of their extremism. Like there's those ones that are like, I'm gonna fucking take out everybody with me. I don't give a fuck, and it's like, then these guys are just like, I'm just gonna go shoot, and then I'm gonna go on the run. Like there's so many different levels, and it's like, it's not like it's just.
well, I think it's a little bit weird too that we automatically assume that anyone that's Muslim, if they do something outrageous like that it's associated with their faith at all.
Like
no one was like Timothy McVeigh is trying to put out a Christian fucking, you know.
Yeah.
He was just an asshole. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I did notice that was because it's weird. France has like a prime minister and a president, right? And like one of them, I can't remember which one. I think it was the
and a mayor. Well, Paris has a mayor too. Like they're like.
Really? I don't even know that. But he was saying something like that. We got to be careful that this really has nothing to do with Islam. This is like these nut jobs that go crazy and they just go. It's like, to me, it's almost like the Christian cults.
You know what it is? No, you know what it is? It's religious fanboys. Fanboys.
Yeah. I mean, to an extent, because you're not really buying into Islam, right? I mean, they're buying into, like you said, they're using Islam to justify what's really probably deep down inside of them, which is some wicked shit.
Dude, when you have a big enough group, there's always going to be a couple of fucking nuts.
Yeah, well,
that's just the way it is.
Look at how we look at. I mean, like, I don't think everyone at the table is necessarily Christian, but look how we think about like the Westboro Baptist Church dudes, man. Like, they're a fucking joke. They're on the cover of Time Weekly, friggin'. They protested the Blazers game this week because Blazers came out in support of gay marriage as like they're like, hey, this is all right in Oregon, and so they're gonna go put the voodoo curse on Damian Lillard so he can't make free throws. Like, what the? Like, do something with your day, man. Get a hobby. I don't understand.
It's funny. I don't know. All that stuff's funny to me because I go to like a Bible study and it's like a group of lawyers and judges on every Thursday. And it's not really like super religious, but they just talk about stuff like that. You more or less learning what does it even mean? Like, what is this? What are the messages? And it's crazy that people who they say, like they talking about the religious group that's protesting. They claim to be like so religious and their acts are in faith of God and this is a sin. But in the Bible, it tells you to love everybody.
Yeah.
So what does it matter? I really don't care who you love, right? I really don't care what you choose, who you choose to love. That it makes no sense.
Isn't it to me, it's just such a bizarre concept to think that you're like, I love my God so much that I'm going to kill people. Like, anytime you get to that point where you're talking about killing, like, is that really religion? Or
No.
what's happening there? Where you're like, I'm going to eliminate you because you're talking shit about my God or you're saying whatever. That's just so bizarre to think about to me. Like, how does a person rationalize that within their brain? And I think that's where my fallacy and my logic is. It's not an individual person, it's group think.
It's just a group thing. And the thing is too, there is not like if you look at all the religions around the world, there is not anything in those religions that say don't approve of this, don't approve of that, don't approve of this, don't approve of that, don't approve of this, don't approve of this, don't approve of this, don't approve of this. They're obviously in their own faith and everything but they don't say don't. Like, Christianity doesn't say don't believe in Catholicism, don't believe in Judaism, and Buddhism doesn't say don't believe in Christianity, don't believe in Judaism, all that stuff. It's like it's all accepting.
Yeah.
Speaking of Catholicism, did you guys see that thing where the Pope came out and said like the Big Bang might be a thing? Like,
dude, I love this new Pope.
Like, he was like, yeah, like he's like, I'm not saying yes or no, but.
And everybody gave him shit for the fucking name that he took.
Did they? I didn't catch that. What is that all about?
No, because the name that he took was from like a pretty extreme
Francis, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Saint Francis was a cool saint, actually. He was like the saint of like, I know the stuff me and my wife were talking about because she's Catholic. And we were talking about, he's like the he's supposed to have been I'm gonna fuck this up so bad. He was like really good with children and animals and like wildlife and stuff like that, like the original Saint Francis. But no, dude, I think it's cool. I think all the stances he's taken are really cool because when you think about it, it's kind of like the points we're talking about. It's like
he's open-minded.
Right, right. Which you would expect from somebody who is religiously and spiritually balanced. To me, is that acceptance and that lack of judgment and that kind of thing. And it feels like for so long that's been a big part of the big machine of Catholicism. And I see there's a real difference too. Like, I see my wife on an individual level who is Catholic and the things she believes and stuff, and then you look like this big machine and you're like, that seems like two different things to me.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I don't want to say I'm not a man of faith. I do believe that there is a God. I don't believe it's a Christian God, a Judaism or Catholic or Buddhist or anything like that. I don't have my devotion into just one particular thing. I just think there is a higher power.
Well, that's the funny thing. You look at all the big religions of the world, and there's always commonality. I mean, it's it's compassion and love for other people, giving of yourself, and
I kind of get down the same way, man. It's like I don't necessarily feel like I I know or anyone knows exactly how
to live it.
things
Yeah.
are. But
As long as
figure-
as long as I live my life as true to myself as I possibly can, I make fucking mistakes. I do. I make fucking mistakes. But the way I see it, as long as I live true to myself, there's going to be something that happens to me after my time on Earth. Whether my energy is reused in the universe, or if I'm going to go to heaven, or if there's going to be something else. My whole philosophy is that as long as I'm living my life as best as I possibly can, doing as much good as I possibly can, then fucking I'm good.
Yeah, that's how I feel, man. If I live my life to the best of myself and I positively impact the people around me the best I can, I figure I'll be all right.
Yeah.
The leap that I'm never able to make.
go.
Here it is.
I'm with you guys, man, and that's the way to do it. And if more people did that, I think we'd have a better world to live in. But I think where the line gets crossed is when people start making judgments about other people. You're not doing it right. You don't believe in the right God. What you're saying is wrong.
You know what it almost is like? It's almost like fucking. It's almost like teams. You know, it's like
for
the
sure,
Ravens
dude.
versus Patriots. Fuck the Ravens. Fuck the Ravens. You know, it's like Christianity. You know, it's
Patriots
like
have this out.
fuck Buddhism.
Well, there's
you know,
studies
like,
coming out now showing the
It's
way
like-
people behave in
Yeah.
groups is
Yeah.
different than how people behave as individuals. People do things in groups that they would never conceive of doing as an individual person, you know?
Well,
True.
And I think it's
Yeah.
always okay to question people and have a conversation going. I think it's okay to joke and have a good time about it. But
Fuck yeah.
when he starts getting vindictive and callous and God forbid violent, I think that's when things start crossing the line.
Those-
Hey man,
Yeah.
I know friends of mine that are against gay marriage, and I should be able to say I think you're fucking dumb.
Dude,
and I have to say that all the time.
Yeah.
There's a
And I don't think
truth.
there's anything wrong with me saying that, but I'm not gonna kick his ass because I think he's wrong. There's
Right.
a line I don't cross.
There's a real truth in it. There's kind of a Buddhist concept that's always the origin of aggression is fear. It's always, I mean, if you were really lashing out at somebody else for the way they're behaving and the choices that individual person is making, it's out of fear that's coming from within you.
Yeah.
And that's an ultimate truth. It seems so obvious. We can sit around the table, we're all nodding, yeah, totally. But you look at the world and you're like, why do so many? Everybody gets caught up in this mob mentality. And it's like we're right, they're wrong.
I like to ask people why. For instance, we can use we use gay marriage as an example. People are like, oh, I'm against gay marriage. I'm like, well, why is that?
Why?
And they're, because it's wrong. Well, why is it wrong? And when they get right there, they're like, well, I don't know, it's just gross. Or that's not that's not a reason. You
Gross
don't have
is a reason.
You don't have a reason.
I always love when I
Right.
hear it's not natural. Like, have
Says
you
who?
studied science at all?
Have you studied
looked at
science
the
at all?
animals of this world? Homosexuality is very common, actually. You see it all over the place.
all over the place. And it's like, like you said, it's the fear.
Well, and what's
Yeah.
fucking natural like this?
Exactly.
Someone
The
had
flip-
to
right.
prevent this. You know what
The
I mean?
flip
Like,
side
it's-
is what's natural.
Yeah,
Andrew's pointing at the fireball, by the way.
yeah, exactly. Like,
All
someone had
natural,
to,
baby.
That shit can't be natural.
No, it's
It
too
was
much.
made naturally. It wasn't.
semen.
It wasn't magically put on the table.
There's a dragon on it, dude, so I assume it's magical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like I don't know. It's just my best man in my wedding was a gay man.
Oh, that's cool.
My best man in my wedding was
Yeah,
a gay
one of my
man.
roommates was gay in college,
Dude,
man.
people are
Just-
people. They come in all shapes and sizes. They all make their own individual choices. And just because you don't agree with somebody's choice doesn't mean that first you can tolerate it. Second, why can't you just be friends?
Tony, I don't know who the fuck your Jackson guy is. I'm gonna blow you up.
Who my Jackson guy is.
Dude, if you know who Jackson Brown is, you gotta
Oh,
fucking do some Googling.
Jackson guy.
I don't need
you,
this.
you never Googled it, did you?
I'm gonna be real with you. No,
No. No, Jackson Brown is awesome, dude. You guys
but
will
I'm
love
just
him.
saying,
Fact.
Tony, I don't agree with your fucking Jackson Brown. I'm gonna blow you up right now.
Yeah, right? I mean, that's essentially what's happening. What's the difference, It's just something different that people are different. I think that's what makes the world beautiful, man. Shit.
Damn it! Why can't the rest of the world just be like this fucking group of four right now?
More Crown Royal.
That's
We're
what
going to
the
do a
wor-
6-hour podcast today.
That's what we
That's the
need.
shit.
You know what? We're gonna get everybody to be the same, to have the same open ideas. All we need is some Fireball, Crown Royal, and some Breckenridge Brew. Right? Is that all we need? Jesus.
Shout out to Dry Dock. Still trying to get that sponsorship.
oh yeah, Dry Dock. Good stuff. I'm drinking a Dry Dock right now. I don't even know what it is. I think it's a Hefeweizen.
One of my buddies' podcasts is sponsored by True Brewing Company. Man, this dream can happen.
What
Just gotta
the
fucking
hell?
roll this shit in.
Jeez.
No, he
Man.
said this dream could happen, Mike.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now.
Could happen.
What
This
are we,
could
9
happen.
episodes in? It's coming.
Okay.
It's
you know what?
coming.
Just in
It's
the talk
coming.
about it. Let's be real about it.
We need to email Dry
Andrew,
Dock.
Andrew, you are gonna be the episode that breaks 1,000
Yeah, we're real close to
son.
1,000 downloads.
I'm gonna feel good. This is like when you're driving like your car and the little arrow kicks over. You know, it goes from 0 to 1,000.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say.
guys.
I thought you were saying when the arrow kicks over to when it's 80085 boobs.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were gonna say empty.
There are so many people that pull over for that when it's like, you know.
Did we just go from religious tolerance to boobs
titties.
in like 3 seconds?
Do you remember you used to page that to
The
people
titties.
though? You can spell
No.
stuff.
Motherhood, there's
The
something there, man.
calculator.
We can make the
Yeah, there's a
transition.
connection.
We're
There's a
good.
connection.
We're
there.
good.
Yeah. What did you do on the calculator? Remember when you were a little kid? The
Oh,
whole
yeah.
Dolly Parton.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
Dolly
yeah.
Parton weighed. She weighed too much. It was like
Yeah,
boobs.
yeah. Boobs.
Oh,
That's the
Dolly.
answer.
Was
Dude,
it Celebrity
my
Jeopardy?
wife, my-
Famous titties. Dolly Parton.
Right?
My wife was actually telling me. Do you know that Dolly Parton is like godmother to like a ridiculous amount of celebrities?
Huh.
For example, the Beckhams.
Really?
She's the godparent for the Beckhams.
In what world do they like connect? Like
That's what I asked. I was like, that's what I asked. I was like, how does that fucking happen? But apparently, then I started looking at it after my wife said that. Dolly Parton is like the godmother for like a bunch of celebrity.
That's
Kids.
bizarre. I didn't
Dude,
know
if there's
that.
a big celebrity plane crash, she is fucked. Like, what is she?
You got like a million kids.
All their agents are like, put it in the clause. You can't fly on a plane with this person, this person, this person, this person,
Yeah.
this person.
That plastic surgery money's gonna die up quick with all those mouths to feed. She is in trouble.
That is hilarious. Yeah, that's that's fucking funny. You can't fly in the same flight as the Beckham's kids because you guys share the same.
Yeah, like what if she was like Buddy Holly and the Pig Bopper's fucking godmother? Boom. That's a lot more responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh
No
my gosh.
doubt. Let's see here. So I was looking.
Are you looking it up right now?
No, I'm not. I'm
Oh.
actually just looking at headlines. So let's see. We talked about the. You know what I heard Colin Cowherd say today was that the Earth spins so slowly that they actually have to lengthen the year to line up with an atomic clock
Oh
because
yeah,
the
but like
Earth.
a second or something like that.
Yeah, the Earth like slowly loses spin or whatever.
See, to me, that's like we don't have enough shit to worry about. Like if we're like,
Let's talk about a second.
we're all gonna be 1 second late if we don't fix this shit right now. You know, like. Couldn't those eggheads be fucking figuring out, like, you know, the global warming shit? It's like,
Cure
we really
cancer.
need... Let's repurpose the 1 second guy to cure cancer.
Repurpose. Like, okay, so one of my favorite stand-ups of all time was Jerry Seinfeld's I'm Telling You for the Last Time.
That's a good
And
one.
he was
Yeah, that's
talking
good.
about, he goes, basically, the scientific, you know, where people stand on it. And he was saying, he goes, here we have all these diseases, cancer, you know, diabetes, you know, all these diseases that are out there. He's like, and there's people out there devoting their time to developing a seedless watermelon.
Yeah, right. I remember that.
And he's like, he goes, cancer's a real big problem. And he's like, but this right here, that shit's got to stop.
Well, right, and but it's not even just in science. That's what you see everywhere. You know what I mean? Like the things that we're working on in our culture, in our society, in the country we live in. And you're like, people still don't have water, dude. Like there are places where people are dying because they don't have water, and we're concerned about whatever it is. You know,
And I was just
maximizing
actually,
it.
and I was,
Sprint doesn't have enough 4G towers. It's bullshit.
Right, this is bullshit. My phone keeps cutting out. Can we get some scientists on that, please?
please.
Like people are dying because they don't have food and water.
Yeah,
dog.
but everybody in here with like a 5G phone though.
Oh, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
fucking throw
True.
my money down right now.
Hey,
Right.
hey,
I've got water.
your
Like, I-
product.
See, that's what I mean. You don't even think about
Yeah,
that shit.
totally.
You're like, man, my phone is
first
slow.
world problems.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's so when you live in the first world, it's so easy to forget that there are third world problems, and it's not just that they are there. That's most of the world. We like we talked about in a previous episode. We lucked the fuck out by being born here.
True. Words of my cousin, the struggle is real.
I need that 5G.
Doesn't
Like-
everyone's cousin say that nowadays,
Hey,
man?
The struggle
The
is real.
struggle is
He
real.
said that to me. I was like, motherfucker, what struggle? You're in high school. What struggle do you got? He's like, oh, man, I don't know. I'm just struggling. I'm like, at what? You're 18 and you're a senior in high school. All you're doing is running around playing with titties, trying to figure out who to stick your dick next.
You had
That's it.
a good high school experience, didn't you?
Yeah, the struggle. I was like, man, somebody to slap the shit out of you.
Oh, man, I think back to myself in high school. I'm sure I had my priorities fucking a little out of whack. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
that was a disaster.
Never like, oh man, this student loan bill I gotta pay. I better figure that shit out real quick.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Right? You don't have to worry
No,
about
I've
none
been
of that.
yeah. Until I hit my 30s, I was mildly to severely retarded. Like it's just now coming together for me, figuring stuff out. When I was in high school, I was an idiot for sure.
Yep. Call of Duty, hose, homework, hose, Call of Duty, homework. That's how it went.
A lot of
wait,
H's. That's a lot of H's.
That didn't even start. Like I said, it didn't start. Remember I told you I wrestled as a junior? That's how that started. I meant co-ed.
What? No.
see,
Wrestling,
fellas,
co-ed
wrestling's the key.
Oh,
What
you
we're talking
meant
about?
you meant co-ed wrestling. I get you. A little slow in the uptake. My bad.
And Tony's still after his 30s, retarded.
Dude,
yeah.
I feel like we gotta take a retard back. That should be, in addition to getting sponsored by Dry Dock, you guys should own the word retard for the fucking.
What's the meaning of the word
English-speaking
retard?
community.
Like retardondo in music is to slow down,
It's to
right?
slow
That's
down.
really what the word means. People get all bent
So
out of
I'm
shape.
saying that Tony's mindset is slow down.
Yeah.
But then it all comes back to stoner memory.
Yeah. That doesn't come up in a few episodes, actually. Been keeping my shit together pretty good.
Oh, that's a good song, man. That's a really good song. Wait, I wrote that song 5 years ago.
You know, we were talking about some crazy stuff today after work. So, do you feel like you would hit a midlife crisis? And if you do, what is a midlife crisis?
I don't know how long I'm going to live. I don't know what midlife
Right,
is.
like so, like we'll just say average is
It's a
80
good point.
years, right? So, like anywhere between 30 and 40. Like, do you just have that snapping point? Like, have you ever had where you stop and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing right now, but this ain't it.
Yeah, that was fucking yesterday. What are you talking about, man? Like,
See?
Yeah.
Every day you're like, fuck, I want to quit this job. And then you do it and you feel great. You guys should get on board. It was awesome.
It is. It's one. I think that's what we were talking about, and I think that's one of those things. It's like it depends on what's going on in your life at that point when you're there. But every once in a while, I think so much of it is that we just spend so much of our time just buried in minutia, buried in little shit, whether it's internet stories or TV shows or my brother said this or my sister's doing that and whatever. It's just all this small drama and all this shit, and we don't stop to think. As Joe Rogan points out, I can't claim this, but he talks about this all the time. We're on a fucking spaceship. We're floating around a giant star in a huge cluster of stars. He didn't put it quite that way, but you think about it and you're like, we're on a planet that's going around a sun that's part of a big cluster of stars and this giant spiral galaxy that has a black hole in the middle of it, and that's part of a bigger cluster, and then there are clusters of clusters, and it gets so fucking big that they look at it at the largest scale and it looks exactly the same as it does at the smallest scale, at the subatomic level. And then does anybody ever stop and go, why are we really here? How big is this place really?
Yeah, I think that's fun to do sometimes, but whenever I get in these conversations, I'm always like, how does that help my fucking Friday night out? You know what I mean? Like, what is that? Like,
Yeah.
it might be minutia, but I want to go meet up with these people, have a few drinks, and watch the Ducks win on Monday. That's my 72-hour plan.
True. And
Like,
I don't disagree with that at all. And I think minutia is our nature. That's what we're born into.
Yeah.
This world is what we know. But every once in a while, you got to stop and go, does it really matter if I quit that job? Does it really matter if I do X, Y, or Z? Like, in the end, we all have the same fate, right?
I think perspective is always important. I think
That's
that's what
the
you're
key.
speaking to,
Yeah.
man. Like,
Yeah.
keeping things in
That
is
perspective.
the
So now,
key.
the thing that really hit me hard this week was on Sunday, Stuart Scott. When I grew up watching Sports Center, Stuart Scott, like they were saying, he changed the game. And so when it happened, dude, like I'm not going to lie, I did tear up. I did cry
too.
a little bit on that because the way he lived his life in like that SB speech and everything like that, like that changed that. I can honestly say that Stuart Scott changed my outlook on things. Like you can have millions of dollars, you can have all this money, this and that, this and that, and this and that, but like now I'm a family man. My wife and my daughter matter the most to me, and I'm going to make sure that they're taken care of and and fulfilled. And just when that happened, dude, I was just like,
That's perspective, though,
Yeah,
right?
that's
That's what you're
perspective.
saying. Yeah.
Right, right.
I think it's crazy, like, just how big of an impact someone like that can have in our, like, I've fucking never met Stuart Scott in my life, but I might sleep on the cold side of the pillow because of Stuart Scott.
Yeah.
Like,
To me, that's and see,
like-
that's a little bit of what I'm speaking to, though. Too, it's not just perspective, but it's you get this one thing, and like Bob Marley said, it's the only thing that you truly have. It's the only thing that really belongs to you is your life, and what are you going to do with that life? Like, what is your purpose? And you think about somebody like that, or somebody like Bob Marley, or somebody you can affect. You have the potential to better the lives of so many people in this life, and I think that's kind of what I'm talking about. Is where you stop and look at your life so far. Because me and Jared were talking about this today, and you stop and you look at your life and go, it could be about halfway. I really don't know. It could be over tomorrow for all I know.
Yeah.
But what am I doing to make the world a better place, and how am I doing that? And sometimes it doesn't necessarily mean you need to embark on this huge project or anything. Sometimes it's just a matter of, man, maybe like we were saying, maybe you need to smile a little bit more. Be a little nicer to people. Give what you can. Help somebody out moving if you can one day. Whatever.
I went to when I was working at my previous job, my previous school.
Oh, is that how we do
I
it?
went to a deal where it was the I think
It's run by a Japanese terrorist.
It was the Mountain States Employee Council, and I went to this luncheon thing, and the speaker that they have, and I apologized, but the guy was great, and he'd done a lot of things. He's a comedian. He also did like commentating and stuff like that. But the thing that struck me with his thing is be the difference maker. Be somebody's difference maker today. Like, make a positive impact on somebody's life today. Whether it be like, a compliment to somebody like, oh, you're looking really great today. Or, if it's like holding the door open, or just being, hey, here's a couple of dollars, go get you something to eat.
Because it sounds like some hippie shit, but it really is true. Like you do one smile at a person, one thank you, one generous act can make that person in a better mood, and then they do something nice later, that kind of thing. And it really does spread, don't you think?
Dude, I don't know why people get down on hippies, man. Like, they might be like, you'll run to your dirty hippie, you run into your freaking poor hippie. There's not a goddamn sad hippie I met in my entire life. They're a good mood people, bro. Like, they're like...
You've spent some time in the Pacific Northwest. You ever been to Humboldt County by chance?
Oh, yeah, I've been driven through Humboldt, yeah.
Some cool ass people. You talk about hippies, man.
Dude,
I'd say
everyone's chilling, man. Everyone says yes, dude. Like,
dreadlocks, funny
says
smells,
yes all
but
the
just
time.
a sense of community and love, and people willing to do stuff.
That
for
is
other
true.
people.
Like you said, I've met a few hippie ass people. Just not a negative thing.
no.
Just said
Not all my
everything's-
kind of dude,
Yeah.
but happy folks, man. Like,
Yeah, right.
Everything's good. The glass is half empty.
Perspective.
Glass is half full.
Perspective. Yeah, man. You
Changes
brought that
everything.
in. That's cool.
It does. It changes everything. You look at, you think, oh, I go to work. You go to work every day, or you get into the daily grind, or you're going to school. Some of you guys are in class, and I'm like, you're taking class, you're doing all this stuff, and it's like sometimes I think that you get so focused, like laser focused on shit, that you forget how important it is to sit around and have a drink and talk some shit like this, right?
Yeah.
Or how important it is to go fishing. That's one of the craziest memories I had is we took Mike fishing, and he caught his first catfish, right? But I mean, those small nuggets I remember, and those parts of my life mean more to me than finishing law school or finishing real estate school or having cars, having money.
Experiences.
All that, and my dad, he pissed me off. He's like, "Oh yeah, how's the real estate coming? When you gonna finish school?" I'm like, a fucking year. I don't, I'm not. I stopped because I'm like, I could have been done, but if I do that, there's no fishing
You're
trips.
gonna
in the
burn
summer.
yourself out.
Yeah, but I miss out also on life. I would rather spend time with him and my friends and my family and take terms off and really enjoy life, right? Perspective. I'll finish one day and maybe I'll make some money and maybe I won't. I don't know. But I'm not going to sacrifice those memories and doing shit like this and stuff like that for material accomplishments. I'm just not. And I was like that at one point where I was so driven that I don't even know what I missed out on. I have no idea.
But
I ain't doing that
completely.
again.
God, I really relate to that. And that comes back to something we always talk about, too. It's that fine line, between appreciating what you have and striving for more, and where does that line fly? But to me, it comes down to one crucial question that is the question we all face. When are you going to die?
You don't know.
Does anybody know?
I don't know.
You don't know, right? Exactly.
I don't know. And then it comes again to what we were just talking about, being that positive person. Because, like, what the fuck? How terrible would it be to end your life on a negative thing?
You just cuss somebody out.
Just
Allah
cuss it,
Akbar.
just like you
Bruce Leroy.
Oh, the
Bruce
go.
Leroy just did a little impression of him blowing himself up there.
I mean, I think that it's. I don't know if I view like death as like the end, though.
Transition,
you know what I mean?
right?
Like, well, not even necessarily that, but like Stuart Scott's a perfect example of a guy whose impact spread far and wide, much past a couple weeks ago. You know
How
what I'm
your
saying?
life goes beyond
Yeah.
your physical existence.
Yeah, man. Like obviously,
Your
like he's gonna
ideals
have.
and your
God willing, this podcast takes off. Dana White invests some money, but Stuart Scott likely had a much deeper, broader impact than any of us will ever have on his community. But I mean, we all have family and friends and people that care about us that we get a chance to impact every day. And so I think that one of the most dangerous things we can do is get caught up in kind of like you said, like this like sameness of going to work and going to class and hey, honey, have a good day. Here's my kiss on the cheek. So if you get caught up in that sameness, that's how you squash your impact, how you squash the life that you can provide going forward.
Totally, man.
Do something
And I think
different
that
every day.
right, and I think that brings it all back to Jared's initial thing of like, is there a midlife crisis? I think there is a midlife crisis if you're living that way and you're not making an impact on the world and you don't feel that inside yourself. Then I think you get to that halfway point through, when we say halfway point, whatever, based on average life expectancy, I suppose. You get to that point and you go, am I living that way? Am I living my life in a way that's having a positive impact on people around me? And do I feel that satisfaction or do I not? And I think if you don't, maybe you start to feel that a little bit, But the potential of a person is huge. One person is huge. This is my idol right here, Bob Marley, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you think about that, and I was telling Jared today that when he was young, he was on the verge of giving up completely on making it a career in music.
Really?
Yeah, and he was going to become a blacksmith. He was going to go study to do that. And just think about how many people who are affected by his perseverance and the fact that he stuck with it and he did the music, and eventually how many people he brought happiness to and political change. Literally, he's got like opposing political parties in Jamaica shaking hands on stage, and the impact that man had from that one decision of, should I just go about, go the normal standardized route and do what I'm supposed to do, become a blacksmith, or should I stick with my dreams and just keep doing what I feel is right to have a positive impact on the world?
Yeah,
And
but
again, that goes to what we were talking about earlier: living your life as good as you possibly can, that you think is a positive impact.
Yeah, and I think, kind of speaking of that, I think obviously, Bob Marley is a guy who had unbelievable wealth of talent. He leveraged that to being able to impact the world, But, I mean, speaking just to who he was, aside from what he did, like, I bet you if he did become a blacksmith, there'd have been some fucking people going home with horseshoes pretty happy, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, like he would have made some horseshoes and people would have been like, hey, man, thanks for...
That's like an old
This is
Buddhist.
the best
You know what I'm
fucking
saying?
horseshoe
Like,
I've ever
yeah.
seen in my life.
I'm really into Zen Buddhism, and that's a big lesson. I remember reading that lesson in numerous books where it talked about like how a janitor can be the most noble profession. Like if you just put everything you have into whatever you do, which comes back to something you were saying, Bruce Leroy, no matter what you do, whatever your passions are, every single thing that you do in life, do it 100%.
Yeah, man, I think you get that all the time, dude. Like, there's whether it's someone at work and they're freaking putting in numbers and they do, and they're doing their thing, but then you go and you talk to them about whatever it is, man. If they're into coaching wrestling or they're into
Get them talking.
fantasy football, and you just watch their eyes light up, and you see like that just makes me excited to like hear what they have to say, and see kind of like get a glimpse into their life, man. So you don't necessarily have to, I mean, I love coaching wrestling, but I'm not in a position right now to have that be all I do. I have to go to work every day.
Yeah.
But, man, I'm going to take every second that I have to be able to kind of impact the people around me to make them better at what they do and, coach them up to what they're going to be. And I think using that and using your passion, whether it's even a minute or two a day, revel those moments, man.
An hour
Live
and a
it,
half
love
a
it.
week.
An hour and a half a week. Podcast it is. But
And
yeah,
on that
man,
note, fellas, we are over on time. It has been an absolute pleasure. Andrew Wolfe, thanks for coming on the show. You'll have to come back, man. You're a great guest.
Dude, thank you so much for having me.
In
man.
the
This was a
meantime,
good time.
man, what do you have? Any shout outs? You have shout
Yeah,
outs right
so
now?
Definitely, Olympian Wrestling Club is my number one shout out, man. It's we've been around for about 4 years now. Next year will be year 5, and we're growing every year. And I mean, if there's not a better high school and youth club coaching staff in the country, I don't know what it is. We have 2 Olympians on staff. We regularly have other Olympians and world team members coming in and helping out the kids. So right there in Castle Rock, if you guys want to come check us out, man, Castleview High School. Yeah, and then Blunt Force MMA is a great gym. We're located down off of down in DTC area, off of Hampton and Santa Fe there. So yeah, come check us out, man. We're gonna have a good time. But other than that, guys, thanks so much for having me. This was a great time. I had a really good time doing this, man. This has been a fun experience.
Dude, yeah, we'll definitely do it again, man. It was a pleasure. Great conversation today.
And with that,
That's
it's a wrap.
Salud.
Salud. Friday, bitches.